morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live with Liz. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. It's been kind of a funky morning. My glasses are missing. I attribute their loss to someone about 2 feet tall who calls me mom constantly. But luckily I have these prescription sunglasses to keep my head on straight and focus on our task at hand today, which is talking about whether or not profiles are worth the investment for law firms and lawyers that have been ranked. So if you have not been ranked yet and you don't have this opportunity, never fear, you can be ranked. Contact us, we'll figure that out. But if you are already ranked, then you are likely familiar and probably bombarded with opportunities to invest in expanded profiles if a free profile or listing is already available, or in just a regular paid profile offered by a publisher to enhance your firm's credibility or give you more visibility. And you're probably receiving these offers constantly. Now, it used to be kind of a no-brainer. A law firm or a lawyer might just have these profiles on, they sell them sort of for the law firm, and then they often sell them for an individual. And you probably had these investments year over year, just, part of it. Chambers and Partners, the Legal 500, just do it. And you would pay to have more information about your firm available to the people who are consuming this information and hopefully hiring your law firm for services. Now, back then, I say back then because I'm talking about when things were still printed. Good morning, Monica. Nice to see you. That was kind of something that you just did. Everybody did it. If you wanted to be taken seriously, you needed to do it too. It was just something that was accepted. But things have changed, and there are so many legal publishers out there. Right now, this space is so crowded that it's difficult to tell whether or not there's a benefit anymore. We don't know what's being consumed by the people who are hopefully hiring you for your services, and whether or not there's value in this investment that you're making with these publishers. Do the publishers truly have the attention of the people you need to reach, your target audience? And is it worth the money that you're going to give them for this additional exposure? So you probably are receiving emails that say something like, we get 110,000 visitors to our website every month, and we are directly targeted to the people you're trying to reach. We also offer thought leadership. We also offer all sorts of different, that's a very good question, and one that I actually have been receiving a lot in the last couple of weeks. So Brad out there, I know you're contacting all of our clients. So here's what happens. Your partners are receiving emails, and people often the sellers out there want to reach the decision makers. So it's logical that they're sending these emails to your partners at your law firms saying, I want to talk to you, partner. And they want to talk. They almost always want to talk. They don't want to just tell you transparently what the offer is, how much it costs, and what the benefits are to you. But sometimes they'll expand a little bit more. This can be frustrating to marketing teams. And it's not, yeah, that's exactly who I'm talking about. It's not just the marketing teams out there that, are frustrated with this methodology to sell profiles to your firm, but the partners out there. Everyone thinks as a lawyer, well, they're expecting me to know marketing and business development, and I have to do all of this, and when do I have time to be a lawyer? And the marketing teams are like, oh my God, can you please stop sending the same email to 30 different partners at my firm, because they are all sending it to the marketing department and expecting an individualized response when we have already considered our marketing budget. We know exactly what we're going to spend this year, where we're investing, why we're investing it. And if you have a new offer, we're happy to consider it. Just send it to us. Okay. So of course, the simple answer is yes or no. It's just never a yes or no. It depends on everything else that your firm is doing, and whether or not your budget fits with these investments, whether or not your return on investment is something that you think will materialize, if you have the metrics in place to justify the investment in the profile. So this is something that you want to look at a little bit more holistically before you dive into the individual level and say whether or not an individual profile is worth it for you. There are a lot of rankings publishers out there that do have industry reach, and they do get to the target audience that you're trying to reach as well. There are a lot of them out there that don't. And basically, we can divide those ranking publishers into a couple of different areas, but some of them are peer-to-peer. And these are often seen as having little value. Sometimes they cost a lot more, but sometimes they have a lot of credibility. There are these peer-to-peer ones that I'm talking about might be familiar to you. This is like Who's Who Legal or Best Lawyers, where instead of the traditional research, the publishers are relying on people in the industry to rank each other. So how popular are you with your friends? Are they going to vote for you to be included? Do your competitors recommend you and recognize you as a force in your particular practice area, in your particular jurisdiction? And there are some people, there's one very interesting author in Spain who wrote this article a few months ago about how terrible Best Lawyers is. And I was thinking, a lot of what he said in that article is actually true about the substance of what Best Lawyers does and their methodology. But there are some things that are likable about how Best Lawyer approaches it because they are transparent. They tell you that this is a peer-to-peer ranking. And not only that, they're investing so heavily in search engine optimization that they have that visibility that sometimes other types of rankings publications don't achieve. And so even though you may not be enamored with the substance of what they're doing or their methodology and research because they're relying on the industry to sort of speak for itself, there is still value in being found. And that was really the result of the evaluation that we did on whether or not rankings are worth it at all anymore anyway. So sometimes I'm saying it's just not worth it to spend so much time and money on the rankings and the process and everything else. But maybe it is worth it in certain circumstances to get the visibility when they have the search engine optimization, when you can truly justify the return on investment. So most recently, and what Monica on LinkedIn has pointed out is whether or not top ranked legal is worth it. What's going on with these guys? So like many people before him or them, when people leave, sometimes rankings publishers, they go off and they start their own rankings publication. So we have yet another one to contend with in our industry that's already crowded with 1,000 different options. Just because something is new, I'm not going to write it off. So Top Ranked Legal is new. It seems to be totally digital. I am confused by some of the results that they are publishing and how they are publishing them. They are vague on their website in their frequently asked questions about things like their methodology. They, along with everyone else in the industry, state that the commercial or sales team and the research teams are completely separate from one another, when perhaps they are, but in real life, to say that your investment makes absolutely no difference as to whether or not you have visibility or you get opportunities or you are ranked is not logical to me and not truthful in much of the industry in terms of the reality that we actually see. So some of these publishers do absolutely consider your investment when looking at whether or not you're ranked. Now, maybe that's still a justifiable consideration when thinking about, for example, your fluidity and whether or not, if you're just simply capable of making these investments. And, if you come back to them and you just say, well, we just don't have the cash flow or we don't have the money or we don't have the budget and we don't want to do it, they may make judgments about you that say, well, this is not a very strong firm if they can't afford us. Hopefully they're not doing that, but some of them are. And I know that they are. I talk to them. I understand that sometimes these investments have an influence on what the results can be. Now, a lot of these different publications have started by people who have left. So Brad, who Monica has brought up, used to work for Chambers and Partners. I remember emailing with him back and forth and even talking to him a few times on the phone about different opportunities that Chambers and Partners had. Now, that experience that Brad had at Chambers and Partners and his partner, who started Top Ranked Legal with him at Euromoney, that experience is valuable. So perhaps this new ranking publication will have some value. But when they are newer, what I generally say is, I don't know that they have the reputation yet. I don't know that they have the credibility yet. Let's see whether or not it's worthwhile in a few years. Let's let a few cycles happen and then evaluate whether or not they're in the space we need to be, if they are reaching the right people, if they are getting the credibility, do they have the reputation? Because a lot of the new ones that crop up here and there are completely generic. They just want your money. They don't have any industry relationship whatsoever. Be very wary of these opportunities that you get that are from people who you can't really understand. You can't find them. You can't find their website. When I get these new offers for profiles, one of the first things I'll do is look and see, do I know the publisher? Of course. Let me go look at their website. Let me look at their who is and see when the website was created for this particular publication. Have they been in business for more than a couple of years? Can I find the people who are writing to me on LinkedIn? Are they actual people? A lot of times they're just scams, and you'll see someone write to you maybe with, I look at this on Facebook all the time, with 2 first names, you know, David John and Mary Lynn, and all of these people who don't really exist, or fake profiles, or, you know, maybe just people who don't have the reputation and don't have the visibility because they're not reputable people in the industry trying to sell you. So once you get past those scams and you have reputable publications, then you look beyond whether or not it's just a simple yes or no and say, well, wait a second. Do they have the visibility I'm looking for? Can I attribute a return on this investment to this profile? Am I getting visitors from this publisher's website to my website? Are people coming to me from there? And that is one of the most important metrics that you're going to have. If you can't utilize the analytics to make that determination, if you don't have the technology, if you don't have the know-how or understand, you know, give us a call, contact us. We can connect you with some very specific tools that can help illuminate that information for you and make it very clear as to whether or not you really are getting traffic coming to you from their website and from their profile, right? Because just because they say they have 110,000 visitors per month, how many of those visitors are looking for counsel in your jurisdiction? Okay, so maybe 5,000. And when they're looking for counsel in your jurisdiction, because of course many of these are covering the entire globe, once they're looking for someone in your jurisdiction, what about your particular practice area? So do they need litigation? Do they need intellectual property? Do they need tax? Do they need transactional lawyers? And so when you break it down even further, how many people really are going to look at your profile, or even the section where your profile lives, to make it worthwhile? And some of these websites are completely confusing as to how to find profiles anyway. Now, there are other times where I'll have counsel say something like, well, no one in my jurisdiction is investing in the profile, so we're not going to either. And I'm thinking, wow, I just tested this in 10 different places with my VPN, and I see that they come up on Google in the top 3 spots every single time. And no one has a clickable link, and you could be the only firm there with a full profile and a clickable link. Do it. And I would also say this, if you're going to try a profile, because sometimes it's worth trying it out, seeing if the investment makes sense for you. Give it a couple of cycles, give it a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years before you make a decision to step back from that profile and see if it has any meaningful difference in your traffic and your conversion rates. But if you have this opportunity to be the only one with a clickable profile, absolutely give it a try. You know, that might be the one if they're visible enough where you were the only ones. And so, of course, I'm going to click on you. And hey, I found you that way. Having more of these profiles also creates backlinks to your website. And those are useful too for your own SEO. So just because you might not be getting the direct traffic, it might still have value for you because you might be getting more visibility because of your presence in these other publications. So that's something else to remember, that it's not just direct traffic for your analytics to determine whether or not it makes sense for you to be there. You might not have that direct traffic, but they might have so much activity and the backlinks might be so valuable for your firm that you should do it. This is also one of the things to consider when they're offering thought leadership. And when you're looking at these publications that are offering you the profiles, often, as I believe Top Rank Legal intends to do, they're going to offer profiles for your law firm, for your lawyers, and then they'll also offer things like events and thought leadership opportunities and different kinds of sponsorships for different things. So you have to really consider whether or not the value is there. And specifically on Top Rank Legal, I've been asked this probably 10 times in the last week. So my guess is that Brad and his team are utilizing their CRM and really getting the message out to the partners of all these law firms that they should be investing in profiles. Now, I don't know where Brad gets all of his information, but oh, that's a good question. Modal Law, my friend Brian. What is a thought leadership opportunity? This is where you are approached to co-author or author some content either in a guide or in a magazine or journal as the expert in your practice area in your jurisdiction. So you write about a law or something relative to the industry that your practice area is in, and you get visibility and credibility from doing that. You're being offered this chance to lead the conversation by publishing, but there's an investment attached to it. There's a commercial term, and usually they expect a payment for that. And I have had some lawyers over the years say things like, well, we don't pay to write. We are experts. If they want our opinion, they'll pay us. And I've actually seen that happen with different law firms and different experts, especially from really reputable academic journals and governments have reached out to different law firms and said, you know, we do want to pay you for this contribution that you're going to make. For those, though, and this is just so often missed, you have to really know, does the content live behind a firewall? What are the copyright terms? Do you get to publish this somewhere else if this is your original content? If you're paying why would you pay $3,000 or $4,000 to be a co-author in a guide and then have the guide live behind a paid firewall and not reach anyone? So a lot of things to be wary of when you get asked to contribute to these. And a lot of times the sales pitch will go something like this. This really renowned firm that you admire is leading the editorial process for this guide, and we have chosen you to contribute to it. And here are all the wonderful things about this guide and this firm, and this particular lawyer picked you to be the representative of your jurisdiction. So do you have a relationship with that lawyer and you really just want to throw a few $1,000 toward it because they've invested in it and that might be good for you? Or will it really get you the credibility that you need? Or are they even telling you that there's a commercial term attached to it from the beginning? How transparent are they with you about that? Now, I find that the industry is heading toward more transparency, but it's limited, and it's particularly limited with these profiles. So the profiles can be valuable for a number of different reasons, but just like the rankings research that we saw before and evaluated a few weeks ago, they are not as valuable as they once were. There's a lot of noise in this space. It's difficult to determine the return on investment, and really that visibility factor is a lot more important than what the publisher maybe is claiming for other benefits related to the profile investment. So before you invest in a profile, take a look at your entire budget, your entire marketing plan, and really make a decision about whether or not that profile investment is meeting your specific needs, is going to help you achieve a certain goal, and is going to have the return on investment that you're looking for. And if you're thinking that you're going to understand that in 1 year, think again. It's going to take at least 2 or 3 years for you to get a feel for that. And in that amount of time, all the different profile offerings may change, the publishers may change, everything in this field may be updated. So take a look at it over and over again as you plan your marketing investments. If you have questions, as usual, send an email to solutions@firmforward.com. We're always happy to answer one-off questions when we can. If you need something, visit our website, www.firmforward.com. And every week, join me on Live with Liz for these lovely coffee talk sort of chats. And if you want me to cover something, just let me know. I'm happy to figure stuff out. So have a great week, everybody. Great rest of your week, and see you next time. Bye.